ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once more to some Friday Night Overwatch here. And hey, Dex, we got some more Faceit League action coming our way here today. We're back in North America Master Division. We have Emote down mid going up against Shikigami. And hey, you took a look at both of those teams last season. Both ended up having really strong finishes, ended up really doing their thing, especially Emote down mid, getting to top 3 in the playoffs. So to talk about them being in rough situations respectively right now, it's not quite how we expected them both to start out the season.
Yeah, and we're going to touch on that here a little bit. Both these two teams, probably not the start they're looking for here. Emote down mid, currently sitting 0-2 to start this season. Shikigami sitting 1-2, winning their last game over In Control in 3-0 sweeping fashion. So, I mean, at least they were able to bounce back. Emote down mid looking to bounce back here tonight, but you brought it up. Both these two teams were playoff teams last season. And a lot of people going into those playoffs thought Emote down mid could have probably been one of those teams that would have been in those promotion relegation games, but Young and Beautiful and Dreamlight were just too much for them in that playoff run. Shikigami, you have to remember, the end of the season they had last season was one of just incredible play. I mean, they were basically sitting 2 weeks from that deadline day out of the playoffs, ended up winning, or only losing, I believe, one of their last 5 or 6 games, and ended up sneaking their way into the playoffs. And I mean, I was very high on them, sadly. They ended up dropping out of the playoffs very early on, but hey, they really had a good end of the season last year. However, I believe this team, for the most part, is the same, but there are a couple new faces on it. Emote down mid, for the most part, as well, I think is almost the exact same as what they had last year. But Hunter, I mean, even though these two teams are named completely different things, this is really a college matchup here tonight. Emote down mid, majority, a lot of players on this team from the University of Texas at Dallas. And Shikigami, everyone minus Ewan, has been a part of the Arizona State Sun Devils program here. So really, really fun to see these good collegiate players here doing really well. However, like we already mentioned, they want to have a bounce back performance here tonight. Both of them really do, especially if you're Emote down mid looking for your first win of the season.
Yeah, 100%. And the reason why this is the third match to their fourth, they have a reschedule with Boot Troop that is happening on Tuesday this next coming week. So they'll have 3 matches next week, this being their only one for this week. So yeah, definitely need to be a big bounce back for them. I mean, you talked about these rosters being pretty much the same, and they are, and the two names that came to mind for me immediately, obviously, one of them ends up being Ewan, previously Amplify, and previously also co-streamer, who did a lot of amazing stuff last season as well, but also Emote Dimid, someone we got very familiar with for a while, Pedal, who was doing some amazing things down in the South America region last season, honestly put on a massive show, and now them being up here in a Master tier, I expect them to duplicate some level of success because we can agree here, they had some moments that felt unreal at times.
Yeah, they absolutely did. Back down last season in South America, like I said, with Factor X. I mean, when they came in, it was like a spark plug to Factor X. They really were a catalyst for them making a really deep run all the way to that grand finals in the South American region last year, up until they made Zocorp, where it finally seemed like someone was able to shut down Pedal for the most part. But, I mean, you look at these two teams here, like we've already said, both of them really looking to kind of right their season here so far. Shikigami with the win here tonight would put themselves up to 500. But win here tonight for Emote down mid, like already mentioned, would be their first one of the season and really start to get them going in the right direction here. But I mean, I was able to talk with J-Man from Shikigami here, and I mean, they kind of talked about it a little bit, like, hey, this is a little bit of a fun rivalry for these two. Both really a lot of collegiate players, both have played each other a decent amount, and they just said that Emote down mid plays a little bit different or a little bit off meta here, but they play it really well, so they're expecting a really, really fun series here tonight.
Yeah, I'm definitely expecting them to have a really fun series right out the rip. And of course, starting right out the rip with our first map, it is going to be Ilios, which if I'm not mistaken, is our first time seeing it in the season so far. So, you know, excited to have it. And this is going to be interesting because before, it might have been a bit of a different story of, you know, the way the roster was last week. But with some problems going on with Space Station Gaming and bringing a certain amount of people, Cardi is actually back on the Emote down mid roster and is typically that ball player, which in a situation like this on Ilios, I think might end up being their go-to out the gate.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, especially because Cardi being very, very prevalent on Wrecking Ball and some of those other kind of tanks that are very, very annoying. Not necessarily a surprise. It wouldn't necessarily be a surprise to see him here. But we did see first ban being Freya coming out here on Ilios. And I mean, for Ruins, it makes a lot of sense, but every other point, I feel like, yeah, Lighthouse, you could find some value and well, but I feel like Ruins is probably the map or the point where you'll see Freya really shine. But it looks like Diva is going to be our second ban here of the night, and that is a tank that J-Man did talk about Shikigami really preferring to play in a lot of situations. Ramatra, though, their other tank, still there on the table, so I might be expecting to see a lot of brawl or poke out of the Shikigami squad here heading into our first map.
Yeah, would seem pretty likely in a situation like this. Cardigan does come in on that tank slot as well, so likely to see something in that category with the Diva being gone. That opens up for things like the Ball, like the Winston, like the Hazard as well, that has been starting to make appearances throughout the season already. So excited to get that going, as we're just waiting on one person from the Shikigami squad to get in here to get this one started. But I'm anticipating quite a bit from that. I don't want to jinx it. Obviously, these are two teams that obviously need this win. They're going to fight very hard for it, but these are some players, especially on the Shikigami side, that we got to get very familiar with last season, and this is one of those squads that is really hard not to root for.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. This Shikigami squad, I mean, like you said, we saw them a lot last season, but at the same time, we've also seen a lot of these players in other leagues like CGL. A lot of these players have played on several teams there. So we have a decent amount of knowledge with a lot of these players. But you already mentioned Petal, Cardigan, Palouette on the other side. Those are also players that we have seen a decent amount, especially last season, where Emote down mid, again, was one of those teams that was always towards the top of the standings. But looks like our first point of the night will be Lighthouse. And I mean, I really like this point just because it offers a really unique perspective around the control point where, hey, you have to be very, very careful near the edge, especially with someone like Cardigan who likes to play Wrecking Ball. You have to be really watching out for them looking to bowl you off the map.
Yeah, you definitely have to be capable of it, but the day and age of Overwatch that we are living in, there is a lot of characters that have the ability to get out of those types of situations. Two characters that aren't really able to do that, though, is Symmetra and Cassidy. I imagine Anu is just going to teleport them out. Same thing with Kashira and just go over to that Tracer to match. But right now, as things are standing by, it looks like we're getting the Hazard versus the Wrecking Ball.
And Hazard a really good tank at the moment still. I mean, a lot of sustainability. It wouldn't surprise me, actually, to see either of these teams stick with the Sim. You could just really try to set up on point, but no. Each team going right back over to the Tracer. Again, right now, and especially, Tracer's still in a very strong spot. Just try and disrupt those backlines. Especially with the backlines that both these teams have, it's going to be very difficult because those are two very mobile backlines.
Oh, incredibly mobile backline, so excited to see how that gets started as well. Hazard, like we said, we're starting to see those appearances pretty often, but it's Kashira that gets J-Man down right out the gate, so no Cassidy on display. And without the Cassidy there, hard to think of what you can do a whole lot in this situation, as Cardigan does get forced off the point, as actually sitting extremely low. Has to get a little bit of care coming in here, as Kashira gets caught up by a Panther. Of all people, as for the time being, this point is in control temporarily by Shikigami.
I mean, you're seeing kills go back and forth at the moment, and Shikigami doing everything they need to do right here. I mean, you're seeing a lot of members of Emote down mid very, very low on health, but right now, you're just looking for them to find a couple kills here.
Yeah, even though getting the better of the Lucio Carter found, as you see Cardigan just going to slip away with the rest of their squad, and Anhu already gonna have a pulse bomb ready for this next fight.
I mean, pulse bomb ready, but outside of that, there's really nothing else ready here. I mean, both these teams, we've gone through one team fight, but yeah, even though you could say Shikigami really won it, there wasn't a true, really team fight winner. Shikigami just has the lead right now on the point. Both these teams are playing very, very spread apart, but Aurora falling here early, Hunter. That's not what you want to see.
Not really. I mean, turning out your Lucio for getting rid of the enemy Hazard, you take that trade 10 times out of 10 right there. It is going to flip over, but they're still trading out. Back and forth. J-Man, though, is still alive, still kicking. Only has one set of heals. Unfortunately, that set of heals is not enough, as Aurora is just going to have to keep holding this corner and kind of play off for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, you can see everything right there. If you're Shikigami and you lose Aurora here pretty early on, you're going to be putting yourself into a really bad spot, because Cardigan then is able just to find a lot more pressure and just do what they want to do on this Wrecking Ball. But immediately, they're back in the fight, and you see him go straight to point, but Minefield is keeping them in a corner.
Yeah, a bit of a weird scenario. Petal nearly getting themselves caught out, as all you can really do is just get a bit of damage off, but Aurora gets caught out as J-Man is just getting forced out of the fight, and with the rest of that, Shikigami squad also moving back as, for the time being, Emote down mid, holding strong.
Holding strong, and they have 3 good ultimates coming up here. Z-Panther and Ewan do have both their support ultimates ready to go for Shikigami, but at the moment, Aurora now making the swap over to the Winston off of the Hazard. We saw this tease a little bit at the start, but they went with the Hazard instead. Worked out for them at the start, but now that Emote down mid's kind of set up, it's a little bit hard for them to do anything with that Hazard. However, almost getting a free point flip.
Yeah, and it causes everybody to back up towards the point. Ewan, though, unfortunately, isn't going to get any value out of that. BJ-Man sitting in worst case scenario right now, will be taken out. Petal has a whopping 3K to their name, as Anhu and Aurora just got to run for the hills, but only Aurora will tell the story of their defeat.
Go be over there for Emote down mid. Does have the beat ready to go here, but still you have to deal with both the support ultimates ready to go right now for Shikigami. But Petal, we saw them take over South America last season. Right now in this series, they're taking it over early.
Yeah, 100%, 90%. Final fight situation right now. Someone has to go get this one. As Ewan is going to go aggro with the beat. Beat on top is only going to get down to a couple of members, hoping to find something with that beat as Z-Panther force the TP back over towards the point, as Anhu might have to be the hero for the squad. As you see mines going down over onto the point. Anhu hoping to find a stick somewhere, hoping to get it onto Petal. Unfortunately doesn't, as there's just boop after boop, and while there is a stick, there is no secure. As Emote down mid going to take 100 to 50 as we have a pause in we'll call it an ideal situation.
Yeah, very ideal right there for Emote down mid, who ends up winning that first point. You did just have your Lucio disconnect, which is unfortunate here, but hey, auto pause. You still won that first round, and kind of like I said, the Wrecking Ball just needs some time to get set up there by Cardifan, but once they got control of the point, you really found it difficult if you're Shikigami to get anywhere near it. You almost got close to a couple back caps here and there, but Cardifan just able to traverse the map here incredibly quickly, and anytime that you would see Shikigami trying to cap the point, Cardifan right there to contest, they would back off and completely give up all that percentage they had, because a lot of that Emote down mid squad would just rotate straight back to point here. But hey, your Emote down mid, a little bit of a slow start, but after that, it was flying colors.
Yeah, once they really got their footing, they pretty much had things locked in at that point. There was definitely a bit of fight back, but it was constantly a situation of Petal being able to catch people out pretty aggressively. I should add on to that. And again, we've seen all that aggression, all of that potential come out of Petal last season in South America. Definitely showing itself here. The stats, I think, make that rather evident as well, as Cardifan, the only person to not die at all during that last round.
Z-Panther doing our job, asking how we should probably pronounce the Lucio's name.
They're Goober to me is who they are. Is it Goober or Go Uber? Goober?
I don't know, man. It's Goober. It's it's never mind. But hey, you see the Ramatra coming out here on Ruins. This is the map where I would normally expect to see a lot of hit scans come out, but you don't necessarily see that. Is even J-Man not coming back out with the Cassidy, wanting to match Petal on the Sode, which, I think is the right way to go. I don't think the flashbang is necessarily slowing down Cardifan at all that last round, so you don't necessarily need a Cassidy, when Sode is probably a much better option for this map.
Yeah, I agree with that retrospect right there, Cashier. Bit of a rough scenario, but is going to get a little bit of care to be able to kind of hang around as Petal hoping to take high ground, but Cardifan gets taken out mid-air as a little more pressure being brought towards the point. Without your ball, though, you don't get that disruption. Unfortunately, it'd be a hard fight to win.
Shikigami getting a fast start here again this point, but they need to hold on to it a little bit more. I think Aurora on the Ramatra, especially on this point, is going to be a lot better into the Wrecking Ball for Cardifan. And you already see Cardifan back into the fight, just trying to get into that backline almost immediately, and you see that here now, but they're going to play it safe, allow their team to kind of get set up here, as you do now see Cashier in that backline with Cardifan.
Yeah, and that's going to be a good one boop, two boop combo. Eventually going to get the power drive on top of it. So Aurora already into a weird scenario as, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We'll let that one slide by this one time, as backline currently being harassed. Ewan getting a good boop out there to be able to kind of hold things off, as Cardifan struggling to find a whole lot like they did in that previous series. But it started out that way, the same way as well. And for Shikigami, once again, seems to be a good start.
Yeah, already up to 40%. You have Pulse Bomb ready to go here, but this is around the same point, last point, where everything started to go downhill. They're keeping Cardifan in check there. That's a big thing. I think once Cardifan kind of gets a little bit of a feel of the point, they really start to play together as a team a little bit more. But J-Man starting off this fight good.
Yeah, now weird scenario as Petal is, I would say not in an ideal position, is going to try to find an opportunity, but they're eventually going to get pooped away, killed, and while there is a TP available for Pauline, it's not going to prolong their life.
And now Cardi fan just looking for a way out here. Luckily, Wrecking Ball, very mobile, should be able to get out, but not this time. And who shuts them down. And if you are Emote down mid, this is just a point where you fully reset. I mean, you're coming up to 4 really good ultimates. However, there hasn't been a single ultimate used from Shikigami yet this entire point. Heading in the final fight territory here, Hunter, we're probably about to see 9 ultimates be thrown out here, probably starting with Minefield, I would imagine. Nope, it's the overclock.
Yeah, but Puddle is not going to get a chance to use theirs. J-Man's got the 2-piece right now, hoping to upgrade. Is Pauline going to use the Kitsune rush here? J-Man getting incredibly lowest point, just over Emote down mid momentarily, and Cardi fan hits the tech, apparently sliding up like crazy, and eventually we're gonna see them take over. Goober making their back into the fight, as unfortunately you and Aurora will slowly have to reconfigure, but Cashier decides, nah buddy, you gotta take the full reset with a pulse bomb. Oh boy.
And now you're in a situation right now where you're Shikigami, you don't necessarily like it. Yeah, you have the Annihilation and the pulse bomb of your own. Petal, though. Overclock ready to go, and we saw what Petal was able to do with it last point. And go Goober, not that far away from a beat. That basically negates that Annihilation from Aurora, so you have to go fast right now if you're Shikigami. Playing slow only is playing into Emote down mid's hands.
Yep, and we do see Anu right now sitting around the back, going to take a little bit of attention away, and in fact, going to take a very fair amount of attention, going to hold on to the recall, but Petal, unfortunately, disrupting the plan a little bit. It's already gotten rid of one, but Petal does get taken care of slowly afterwards. Unfortunately, Anhu and Sea Panther get taken out. They hope to maybe find a flip, but they literally don't get it by like a 1/10 of a second, if even that, as they'll take another reset, as next fight should realistically decide it.
You still have beat ready to go. You're not that far away from another Minefield right now. The Annihilation coming out. Look at this now. This is, I understand Aurora's trying to keep himself alive, but you only have a pulse bomb to your name right now if you are Shikigami. And this is one thing that they kind of talked about coming into the series, the little mistakes. That's been what's killing them so far this season. They really want to improve on it. I don't know if that was the right play, though, from Aurora.
It was most certainly not the right play, as Cardi fan is just waiting for an opportunity to use these mines. Might be prolonging to try to use them onto the point, but it's just gonna cause separation, make it difficult for anybody to really get over there in the first place. As Sea Panther being given all the pressure in the world, as both supports gotta work together. Unfortunately, they died together instead. EDM seemed to have this thing getting close to lock in key. Anu hoping to find something with that pulse bomb. Unfortunately, gets no receipts, as it's just 2 remaining to try to hold on to the point. But Dex, that is the best you can call it, is hold on, because eventually their grip is gonna slip.
Anhu getting a touch here. Ewan and Z Panther both back here, but how much can these 3 heroes do at the moment? Down a tank and down J-Man, who is not that far away from an overclock. I mean, if you can stall it out here a little bit, you have Kitsune, you have beat, you'll be in a good spot.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just can't keep bodies on. They're getting close to a Kitsune rush, but unfortunately, just Emote down mid had that locked in place. Like, the moment they were able to get on the defense, they did not get stopped whatsoever.
No, and I mean, it was a really good second point there from Shikigami. Got all the way up to 94%, but we talked about it. They were coming into final fight territory. All 5 ultimates basically ready to go, and only 4 ready for Shikigami. And Shikigami, Emote down mid came up on top in that fight where they were down ultimates. And most importantly, I think being down the beat was the biggest thing there. I thought that would be the reason that we probably ended up going to a 3rd point, but no, it wasn't. Emote down mid played that fight perfectly, and I think the minefields caused a little bit more problems there to Shikigami than what they were really expecting. It really just seemed like no matter where they used it, it put them into bad spots. You go back to Lighthouse, the first time we saw it be used there, well, it trapped Aurora in a corner, needing a lot of help from their team to get back out there. But I mean, hey, a really good start here for Emote down mid, who again is looking for their first victory here of the season.
Yeah, 100% wants to be able to pull that off, and hey, it's as good a start as you can realistically have. You're bouncing back from these situations, and now you've got to try to do the same thing, with this time being Shikigami's map pick, as a little bit of a change round. We're going to be going over to Runesapi, which Runesapi, not a map, and honestly not a map type that we generally see this early on. And this becomes a pretty quick question at this point as to, do you keep Cardi fan in running the ball here on Runesapi, or is this where you make a derpy time and go in and try to run it down with the brawl instead?
I think if you're gonna play Wrecking Ball on any push maps, this is probably the best one in my opinion. There's just so many places to tether and move around. We saw there a lot in that first point, or in that first map. Cardi Fan was just able to just kind of go flying very easily. So this is probably the best map for a Wrecking Ball. But if it gets shut down time after time again, will Cardi Fan have to swap if they stay? And I think that's a big question you have to ask here if you're Emote down mid. But Hunter, I mean, right now, looking at just the stats, we do know what the first ban of the map is actually. Symmetra.
So
very, very interesting.
So this has to be one of two things, and the thing that I think it is potentially a DPS protection. Maybe there's something they really want to run in this situation that they don't want to have be taken away, or maybe there's a particular comp that they're going to run that a Symmetra could just tear through. I mean, if you're running something like a Diva or an Orisa, we see Symmetras tear them to absolute pieces a lot of the time. But in this situation, they don't get rid of the ball. They're going to save that for a different time right here, because this is one of those maps, to be fair, Derpy is interchangeable here. If you wanted to run a Brawl Style on Runasapi, it is 100% viable, and you don't want to use a ban just for them to conveniently put in their other tank instead.
Yeah, and again, you talk about being a little bit of a protection ban here, but this could also just be a very good ban. I mean, you remember, Shikigami did talk to us about the fact that they like to play Ramatra and they like to play Diva. This is a map where you do see Diva a little bit. So Diva's one big counter, especially really recently, has been Symmetra. Just being able to really not have to deal with that defense matrix. So you can get that level 3 beam pretty easily off of Diva. So getting rid of that here early on is probably a really good thing. But, I mean, one thing I want to talk about, just looking at the stats from last game, was the fact that you saw a really big difference in the stats for the two Tracers, Cashier and Anhu. Cashier had 16 eliminations. Anhu only was able to get 5 throughout that entire first map right there. So a little bit of a struggle coming out of the gate right now for Shikigami. But they look to bounce back here as we head into our second map of the night of Runasapi. Ban number 2, though, Hunter? Kiriko.
Yeah. You know, all things considered, perfectly fine with it. Kiriko is one of those characters where if you are running the ball, that Kiriko can get away from it with absolute ease. It's a little different when it's something, you know, like a Baptiste, which who knows if you might have to swap to back in a situation like this without a Kiriko. As, man. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it is a domino effect. What would happen if Cardi Fan was on SSG right now? Who knows? You can only really predict. But already some stupid ass roll.
Man, like last time we'll talk about it. I do feel bad for Cardi Fan.
Yeah.
But right now, back on Emote down mid, I think with Cardi Fan back in this lineup, they have to be looked at as one of the better teams here. The record doesn't show, but now Cardi Fan's back into the fold here. I imagine they are quickly going to climb up the leaderboards here. But now coming out of the gate, you see Cardi Fan back on the ball, Cashier on the legs. At least for the moment. It's been a while since I believe I've seen an actual true soldier pick. But the other side, Aurora on the Ramatra. J-Man going back over to that. Actually, no, J-Man, I think. No, J-Man going back over to the cast. Anhu on the Tracer here. Cardi Fan, though, getting set up.
Yeah, and the CC Panther is over on that Baptiste indeed, which is going to create an interesting situation for Cardi Fan. Immortality Field is still going to be difficult to deal with, but you don't have the ability to really, you know, pull out of there like you previously were able to. So Cardi Fan is just bringing on all that pressure, and it's honestly down to Aurora and Ewan to make their life as difficult as humanly possible when they go in.
Yeah, but right now, I mean, a lot of teams like to push this map. That's exactly what we're seeing here. But now Aurora starting to just contest the points, slowing down Cardi Fan, because this entire map is just basically slow down Cardi Fan, get them out of the fight as often as possible, because that will give Shikigami the best opportunity here to really do what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, you see Cashier playing the soldier is just kind of getting forced around and out right now. It's not finding anything right out the rip, but you gotta see what will happen. Unfortunately, the support duo is gone for Emote down mid. This should be a clean start here from Shikigami. And to be fair, I mean, Ana Lucio, not the worst combo in the world, but it's not one we generally see in these situations.
It's not common, and I feel like it's a very weird one with a Wrecking Ball, but I don't necessarily hate it. It also does put a lot of pressure onto someone like Aurora, especially with Kiriko being banned out. Here, it does find a lot more value here. Those anti-nades could be devastating, but right now, Cardi Fan on that Wrecking Ball, already stalling out the cart progress here, but Shikigami getting right back to it as J-Man finds Cashier out early.
Yeah, and Petal having to hit the recall is kind of between a rock and a hard place right now, getting super low. J-Man again gonna hunt down already starting the fight strong as 30% and counting as Cardi-Fan trying to find a nice little boot, get Hanhu into the air, but Hanhu has all the care in the world and throws a pulse bomb, gets nothing though.
And right now, two members of Shikigami just chasing down Cardi-Fan. Cardi-Fan, though, that mobility, that speed, going to be able to get them a large health pack, and probably should get them back here to stall out this cart, or the bot, just before it gets there, but oh.
Yeah, stall might not be the operative word here, but either way, lots of ultimates about to be on the board. Four for each squad, yeah, realistically. You're talking at least over on the side of EDM, who are about to have a lot to invest into this next fight.
Yeah, Goober kind of struggling at the start of this map to really build up to ultimates here, but you got two ultimates out of Shikigami that last fight, and the pulse pump already out, and the minefield as well.
Man, that's some bullying right there in the corner. Yeah, you don't like to see it if you're a Shikigami fan, but at the end of the day, they throw in two ults, they take the momentum back on their side, and they're going to go for a full-on chase down. They don't want anybody to survive this, and guess what? Anu Pets is unlikely to escape. They might.
They might, but the biggest problem here with what we just saw happen, Aurora dying, they now have the far spawn, so they have to give up a lot of the space here, essentially for free, unless Anhu wants to try to stall it out, but then you could lose your tracer in this situation. You really do not want to have that happen. However, Hunter, Nano and the Visor is online here, not that far away from a beat that will probably be used to cancel out this annihilation from Aurora, but you still have to watch out for a Deadeye and a beat of their own here for Shikigami as they start to get back to the cart now.
Yeah, and we see the beat being used. Pauline is going to go down really early from Aurora, though, as they throw two ultimates into this fight to try to pull it back. And there's the Ajax! Oh, I was so afraid, and it happened! And it's Ewan of all people who pulls it off. I wish we had the certified Ajax here ready, but that is, oh boy, that is a disastrous fight.
Time to implement it for next week.
Yep.
But right now, I mean, you see what happens there. Pauline now getting off the Ana, going over to the Moira instead. And honestly, with this composition, I don't necessarily hate it. Cashier, though, staying on the Soldier, I'm honestly kind of surprised with that. But right now, 4 ultimates about to be online for Shikigami. They're looking to get those forward spawns back. And honestly, at this point, Hunter, take a little bit of a bigger lead because they got cut in half. But Cashier.
Yeah, in that one, Cardi-Fan, rough scenario, gonna pile drive down, literally sitting at nothing, and they will have nothing. Pulse bomb sticks in, Pedal gets a 3K! Oh my god, the Pedal of South America coming to North America and continues to do their thing.
Oh my goodness, talk about a fight where I was looking at it saying, okay, Shikigami should get these forward spawns back, they should be able to get back to the barrier and continue pushing, but one ultimate changes the entire momentum of this entire map. However, you have 4 ready to go here if you're Shikigami. But Cardi-Fan out on the Doomfist now, getting rid of Anhu pretty early on.
Yeah, it gives them an ability to play a little more aggressive, but to be fair, the Moira is going to offer the same thing. If they decide to int in, there's not a whole lot that can be done to stop them here, but Aurora is going to again hit the Annihilation, I think a little unnecessarily, as Z-Panther just used an ult specifically to keep them up.
Anhu, though, gonna be able to find Cashier as they come back from spawn here, but J-Man rolled into that punch.
Yeah, now the Tracer battle beginning to activate right here. Recall, though, has been present as Pauline has to kind of fade out of the fight. And realistically, the chances of winning this fight should have been fading, as Anhu is going to be able to find one, chasing down their counterpart as Recall had to be present, but Ewan is there to finish things off, as during this entire fight, that point has come back to the middle section.
Cardi-Fan now about half health, and Aurora trying to get rid of them, but you're starting to see a lot of support come back here from Emote down mid, but at the same time, Aurora doesn't really want to push the bot up just because they don't really have their full team here. So this is just kind of a neutral setting right now for both these teams. Half that time bank is gone right now, but you look at the ultimates coming up here. You're going to have 3 ready to go for Shikigami. However, Emote down mid, really coming up to all 5 here. This could be a very ult-heavy fight coming up here, Hunter.
It could be, and this is a really weird situation to be playing right now. There's a reason why they don't want to have to play here, because there's so many crook and crevices that you can play around if you're Emote down mid. As Pulse Bomb, it's 6, doesn't get the success from last time. His beat implemented by Ewan. Cashier hoping to find something away, as Pulse Bomb ended up missing from Anhu as well, who gets punched into nothingness and gets rocketed into nothingness, as well as Pauline. Happy to invest into the fight, trying to burn it down. Cashier into the corner, basically going to hit the trade out as we're going back and forth. But again, it is Pedal who's staying alive, getting the picks, and unfortunately, Aurora is going to take the reset.
take the reset, but that's going to probably get those forward spawns right over to Emote down mid. They're going to stall it out here for a little bit, but they're going to have to give them up. You still have a slight lead here with 3.5 minutes to go, but without Aurora there, who's now made the swap over to the D.Va, you might be giving up the lead. And Hunter, I mean, we've seen some insane comebacks before in this map, but I feel like with how Emote down mid's playing right now and just Shikigami, it feels like they're kind of really needing to win a team fight here, get these spawns reset, and then just try to get back to their own spot here.
Yeah, you're in a weird spot, though, as beat directly into the face of J-Man as we see bodies get onto the point. T-Mac, though, has come through. J-Man is probably hoping to hit this, and yeah, they are. And you see right now Cardi-Fan hanging around the point. Pulse Bomb coming up online.
Oh.
J-Man gonna get punched out of it. Slick as can be. As Cardi-Fan pretty much gets solo ulted in that scenario, they're gonna start taking the bot the other way. And honestly, if I'm J-Man, I'm sticking on this bot and taking it as far as I can go.
J-Man on who's sticking on the bot, but you have Cashier right there coming back from spawn, just going to be able to slow it down. But right now, I mean, if you're Shikigami, you're pretty happy with how that fight went. You got them away from that barrier, and you still hold on to a very, very slight lead. You're rotating now into a beat and a pulse bomb of your own. Well, there's nothing ready to go right now for Emote down mid. So this is a fight where if you are Shikigami, you desperately need to win it here, and only win it, maybe investing one ultimate.
Yeah, J-Man nearly getting assassinated, gets care at the last second possible as Gover and Squad just going to back out, but everything's in a very sensitive place right now, especially if your name is Sea Panther, who's taking out Pauline. Also pretty low as Cardi-Fan is just going to go ultra aggro because nothing can stop them from doing it. J-Man taking down. Bot does start going the other way, so the close spawns are now taken care of. So if you're Anu, you just go and die on this cart. You take the tactical reset, and everybody should get those. Well, not everybody gets good respawns, but you and J-Man will get them. Or, I'm stupid. Forget me, Dex.
No, none of them will. But right now, I mean, you just wanted to get those that spawn reset right there because there was one member of Emote down mid who had to go all the way back to the initial spawn here. But you look at the ultimates now, 3 about to be online. Actually, 4 about to be online here for Shikigami. 4 about to be online for Emote down mid as well, Hunter. A very heavy ult fight probably coming up here with 90 seconds to go.
Yeah, and this is getting more and more intense as we go along for Shikigami. They really need to be able to make this one happen as UN ends up trading, and we end up having a double DPS down here. Worst case scenario for Emote down mid as they have to hit the full retreat. Keep Cardi-Fan alive as Shikigami should be able to get forward progress once again.
I feel like we're going to see a little contest here before they get to those forward checkpoints, especially with less than a minute to go here. But no, Emote down mid, give them up for essentially free here. And Shikigami, looks like they were able to add a little bit to their lead here, but the coalescence out from Pauline.
Yeah, and now big pulse bomb in. J-Man has a dead eye, and Cardi-Fan give up everything to go in there, so they had nothing to repel with. And now this is a fight win that could be the deciding factor as Shikigami going to extend that lead.
Extend that lead and look at the ultimates they're coming up to. Bomb, pulse bomb, amp matrix. Beat out from Goober. Here is that exactly what you want to see if you're Shikigami, because you can just back up now.
Yeah, but you can't really do that with Anu, as now Aurora going to use the bomb and really can't do anything to stop themselves from dying in the process. As that's a couple of ultimates invested throughout that process. Is the rest of Shikigami going to get out?
Spawn not reset their Aurora, gonna get those 4 spawns. Cardi-Fan the only one with an ultimate ready. Anhu the only one with an ultimate ready. And those might be the only 2 ultimates we see in potentially the final fight here of this map. Overtime commenced. It is in control of EDM, but right now you see Anhu checking corners right now and able to spot out Cardi-Fan.
Yeah, they are hard pressing Anhu out of their positioning. They know if you're ult tracking right, you know this is the only person with an ult remaining on the squad. And Sea Panther gets caught out, and now you might have to hide away. But a pulse bomb sticks beautifully onto Goober, and now Anhu is gonna have to grab that mega health pack once they get Cashier of all people, but has to hit the recall instead as Aurora knocked out of the mech. And unfortunately, they're being tossed to the side as now it is the picks. They're trying to go touch the point, but Dex, this is gonna be a near impossible feat.
Sombra coming out here from J-Man just to try to get back and get a touch. Looks like they should be able to, but you need a lot more support from the rest of your team. J-Man down, Z-Panther there for a moment. They'll be taken out, and Wrecking Ball not able to get back in time. Emote down mid wins a nail biter here and puts himself on to serious point.
And that right there is... That's heartbreaking right there for Shikigami. Yeah, you hold the lead for a large majority of the map, and unfortunately, it just kind of ends up slipping away in that situation. You don't expect it to, but I mean, the fact that you're in this scenario, where if you're Emote down mid, you make the adjustment, realize, hey, the ball's getting shut down, it's not working, let's go that Doomfist. And that Doomfist made J-Man's life a living hell. And honestly, it made Z-Panther's life a living hell as well. Made sure it was impossible for them to do a lot in these fights. But of course, let's bring up the heroics of Petal, because if it weren't for that 3K pulse bomb, by the way, I think that fight should go securely into Shikigami's hand.
Oh, easily. I said it right there. That was a momentum-changing ultimate we saw from Petal. I mean, remember, Petal was the only one with an ultimate ready to go right there for EDM. Shikigami, I believe, had 3-4 going into that, and I said, hey, they need to win this fight here. They'll be able to get back to that barrier and extend their lead. And because of that 3K pulse bomb, they weren't able to get back to their barrier up until the last 30 seconds of the map. So, I mean, you see the difference in just one ultimate could make there. Shikigami, again, I mean, this was a very good map for them. However, it just kind of fell apart at the end. I mean, you could look at the bomb coming out there from Aurora. I understand why they wanted to use it. They felt like they were still in a very good spot to win a fight, especially with Amex just being invested. But after those two ultimates were gone, Hunter, I mean, that really seemed like Shikigami was banking on those two ultimates to win them that map. And when Emote down mid just kited them out, it put Emote down mid in a really, really good spot. And then you just saw Cardifan kind of take over a little bit, just causing so much disruption to that Shikigami squad.
Yeah, exactly. And now only one opportunity left for Shikigami to make it happen. They got another choice here. They're going to bring it over to New Junk City, which now this creates interesting precedent, because this is definitely a map where you wouldn't expect to see a ball, but a Doomfist could definitely work in this scenario. But a couple points to bring up. The Kiriko come back into place, so Z-Panther is going to be able to jump back on that horse instead. And now it's a question for Shikigami of whether or not you are afraid enough of the Doom to want to get rid of it right here and now, because after that, honestly, I wouldn't blame them whatsoever. And yeah, that's exactly what they do.
I wouldn't blame them. Like you said, this is kind of a better Doomfist map than a Wrecking Ball map, but Wrecking Ball can still definitely be played here. You have, I mean, at least in my own comp games, granted, these players in this lobby are a lot better than what my comp games are. Still can see a decent amount of Wrecking Ball. And just with how disruptive Cardifan has been throughout this entire series, I think you kind of stick with them unless you really believe that this is not the best map for a Cardifan to be in. Then you bring in Derpy here, which again, still a very good tank in their own right, and would maybe go up against go into a potentially a brawl mirror a little bit better than what Cardifan could, especially without having the Doomfist now.
Yeah, and that's what you have to anticipate in the situation right here. But to be fair, it's the evil you know versus the evil you don't in a lot of ways. But you bring in Derpy, you understand what you are getting into. You get rid of the Doomfist and Cardifan stays in, you have no idea what's going to be thrown your way. Maybe it's going to be the ball, maybe it's going to be the hazard, maybe it's going to be something we haven't seen from Cardifan in quite a significant period of time.
Cassidy, the second ban coming out here. And I mean, granted, J-Man did really slow down that Doomfist a little bit towards the end of the map, but that was still not necessarily a good map for, I believe it actually was J-Man who did struggle throughout the entirety of that map, only getting 9 elims. They were able to do enough to slow him down. Again, the one Deadeye we did see from them that found a pick was on to Cardifan, who was playing that Doomfist, and that did give Shikigami a little bit of a longer lead. Didn't end up mattering at the end, but still, it helped them out there. But now heading in here, Cardifan still in, so that really lets us know that we're probably going to be seeing potentially a Wrecking Ball come out here, or something else from Cardifan. It's going to be interesting to see what they have, because we really only know them for that Wrecking Ball and that Doomfist.
Yeah, so it only really leaves the one option, but to be fair, if things have been working up against them, there's no real reason to have to kind of change it out. But we'll see momentarily what's going to be kind of clicking in their heads right now, and for the moment, it is going to be the ball. And honestly, if Kashir decides to stay over on this venture, honestly, that could be an extremely deadly combo, because when it comes to the ball and to the venture, with all their cooldowns, it's really hard to deal with them, especially in tandem.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Hunter, I think you kind of said it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, the Wrecking Ball has worked for Cardifan all night long, and yeah, Shikigami was able to slow him down a little bit last map. This is a completely different map, and this is a little bit of, I think this is a little bit of a better map for just the Wrecking Ball to roll around and find just interesting places to hide. On who, though? On the Tracer. Petal going back over to the Tracer after teasing us with potentially a Widow, which I don't think anyone was falling for that. But right now, I mean, if you're Shikigami, they've been getting off the strong starts in almost every one of the maps and points we've played so far. I think we're going to probably end up seeing that here again, but they really need to put together the back half of a map here.
Yeah, and we do see the photo come through. J-Man gets selected to be sacrificed, but manages to stay alive through it all. Has plenty of care from the squad, has had great care from Ewan and the Sea Panther throughout the majority of the series as well. You see Kashir hiding away, waiting for their moment to strike, but Aurora is in really weird territory right now. Doesn't have the support to ultimately work with on the squad as the DPS Emote down mid, starting to clear house as the point will momentarily go to Shikigami, but momentarily is definitely carrying some weights.
Yeah, I mean, momentarily. You'll take whatever percentage you get here. Anhu, it looks like they're just going to kind of sacrifice themselves, just get probably an extra 2-3% right there. So 14, not necessarily bad, but Aurora already getting off of the Ramatra, my bad, going over to the Diva here instead. And I like that a little bit better, especially with Cashier on this venture. Like you said, it can just be so oppressive with the Wrecking Ball here, as you already see Wrecking Ball, Petal, and Cashier kind of just waiting here. At least Cardi already looking to just disrupt whatever Shikigami wants to do.
Yep, Pauline forced to get out in that scenario. J-Man, though, forced to get back into the spawn room, unfortunately, and it just seems like Emote mid have this situation figured out. Sea Panther's going to go down. If Aurora gets demeched, that is devastating. In fact, they're going to be demeched, and they're just going to be kept alive. And unfortunately, if Aurora doesn't get fully reset, I mean, I was going to say that might be first point already, but I don't know, man.
It definitely won't be first point, but it actually shouldn't be first point, but we've seen a lot of teams in the past actually just decide it's not worth it to necessarily take a fight and just kind of feed ultimates over to the other team, especially when you see Emote down mid already be close to all 5 of their ultimates, while only 2 players on the side of Shikigami are relatively close to theirs.
Yeah, we do see Anhu get the touch, though, and is going to get pressured hard by Cardifan. Just hanging around, waiting for their moment. Is sitting super low on the point, though. Does get taken out, and the rest of the squad is not really there to reciprocate and follow up, but we do see Petal ultimately going to have that touch because you're hanging around the bottom, waiting to assassinate somebody, but realize it's not happening. Point flipping over to Shikigami as, at the end of the day, just clutch for Anhu to get there on that point.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, with that fight win, look at Shikigami. I talked about them only really having 2 ultimates ready to go. Well, now they're about to have all 5 here ready to go, but Emote down mid, a lot closer to all 5. Actually, yeah, all 5 ready to go right about now. So you can see a lot of ultimates. Hey, remember the mines from map 1? Well, they're back.
Yeah, they're back. Anhu has to get off that high ground as Anhu is going to get hard targeted because they have no cooldowns left, and their squad is just hard separate. It has to literally run directly to their supports. As point going to flip over at 64%. B going to be activated just so everybody can get over onto that point. Mines being cleared away. Being pressured off, you're just seeing Kashir be able to have an available touch as Petal goes to the pulse bomb. Going to miss out, but everyone's in the right place at the right time. Z-Panther so low! Doesn't get taken down, though. J-Man, unfortunately, is the recipient of going down first as Aurora is going to have to throw a bomb up in the air and say a prayer, but nobody likely to get caught as Stomp not available. Ewan, weird scenario as everyone coming back for health, but I mean, this is chaotic, but right now, Emote mid have the upper hand.
Have the upper hand, well, for the moment, then they're going to be able to cap the point. Shikigami, though, coming back in. Petal, though, picking up right where they left off from this, basically the entire series.
Yeah, and the unfortunate scenario in a lot of these fights is that Cardifan is doing everything to make Aurora a non-factor in these fights. And that's tough when your tank is being oppressed that badly. It's nothing necessarily bad with what Aurora is doing. It is just the fact that Cardifan on this ball is suppressing them to the nth degree.
And I mean, it's just been a constant problem all night long for Shikigami at points. I feel like they've really been able to figure it out, but already look at this. Cardifan, another mines ready to go. Hell, the entirety of this Emote down mid team basically has ultimates ready to go here for this first fight on this next point. They could use 1-2 early on, win it, and immediately be able to cap it, still holding on to 3. And speaking of the mines, there they are.
Yeah, and J-Man nearly getting caught up in that. Doesn't manage to stay alive, but that should clear up in time plenty for Shikigami to be able to go into this fight, and you know exactly where they're going already. Going to go through his Petal, gets the pulse bomb eaten. So it's a good first step right here as you see all the pressure being delivered directly to the face of Z-Panther is using this Kitsune Rush. Everybody's sitting desperately low for that moment as Z-Panther somehow staying alive. Beat activated. Ewan has it ready to go as well, keeping all of the members alive as Kashir is the one person with an ultimate still over on the side. Emote down mid is bye-bye. You are gone, good sir, as J-Man gets a 2K. Not happy with the way things are going, showing it as they're helping clear house back to the point of Shikigami gonna stake their claim.
you know, give it up to Ewan in that fight. I don't know if you saw it, but they got actually booped off the map, and I think they were so close to the kill box there, but they were able to wall climb their way back up and really help their team there. But J-Man being a huge benefactor in that fight there for Shikigami. Got rid of Cashier just as they popped their tectonic shock, and now back in control of the point. 3 ultimates online here for Shikigami. Only has to deal with another minefield from Cardi-Fan.
And Cardi-Fan just loves having that minefield basically on a regular cooldown at this point, as it's going to be thrown way into the back line, going to bring all that pressure. Nobody gets power drive, though, and as a matter of fact, Cashier, of all people, ends up going down first. Aurora having a second pick on the fight, as well as Cardi-Fan already realizing this is a dud right here. Support's got to be able to get out. Cardi-Fan going to get chased out as Anhu wants to try to find them and has a pulse bomb, and if they could stick it, I mean, that would certainly kill Cardi-Fan.
It certainly would, but you have Pauline and now Petal right there, so you would have had a Suzu, you would have had a lot of stuff right there to make sure Cardi-Fan gets out, but that, with Cardi-Fan staying alive, they're going to have a touch here, only have a pulse bomb to their name, not that far away from a Kitsune Rush though. However, you're still holding on to 2, almost 3 ultimates right now if you're Shikigami. This should be your point to win, but you just need to clean up one more team fight.
Yeah, and Aurora is going to drop their bomb on the spot right here. It's going to be a weird scenario as Petal going to do that. Pulse bomb does stick though, and Goober does go down in the process. Unfortunately, Yuta don't really have the members to work with here. Bright side is Pauline is going to use this Kitsune Rush as Anhu is somehow still alive and kicking, but they're all underneath there. They're going to be picked off in time, but that is your single bright side, is that Pauline used that Kitsune Rush.
Pauline used a Kitsune Rush, but Hunter, Cardi-Fan has minefield number 4. Petal holding on to a pulse. Like you said, Cardi-Fan's been able to basically build these up as if it's just a normal cooldown. That's how much value Cardi-Fan is finding on this Wrecking Ball. But beat Kitsune Rush ready to go right now for Shikigami. Those 2 ultimates on their own normally can win team fights, but again, with Cardi-Fan on this ball, you can never really count them out. Pulse bomb though from Petal, a dud this time around.
Yeah, going to miss. It's they've hit quite a lot of them this series already as Kitsune Rush ready to go as J-Man almost walking into that, then in fact might have done so as Mines going to surround the point as Goober, unfortunately in a weird scenario, but J-Man does eventually get eliminated from Cardi-Fan, who again is just trying to be enemy number 1, and I mean Cardi-Fan might be enemy number 2 as the minefield is quickly becoming enemy number 1, but Sweet Panther, nice shot onto Cashier, still hanging around. Has Aurora there to back them up as they need to finish off Petal, and Cardi-Fan still hanging around, making this winnable.
I mean, right now this is final fight no matter what. At this point, losing Z-Panther is very hurtful here for Shikigami, but you have numbers. You just need to clean up. Goober getting very low, and who's going to be able to find them?
Yeah, and that beat was right around the corner too, as Cardi-Fan going to be forced away from the boop. Z-Panther though has to come back and give care. Remember, Aurora has no heals as Cardi-Fan literally sitting at 1 as a blade has been popped up. Unfortunately, it's Cashier slicing, dicing away, making this map point now. And this is getting desperate for Shikigami.
I mean, this has been a close map, back and forth, but somehow, some way, Emote down mid is able to find ways to win these fights, especially towards the end of the points. Cardi-Fan building up the minefield number 5 here, but you look at what Emote down mid's going to have. 4 really good ultimates here going into this 3rd point, and remember, they had 4 going into the last point and did a really good job with that. But right now, I mean, Cardi-Fan is just an annoyance to everyone on the side of Shikigami. It really seems like whenever they feel like they slowed them down, Cardi-Fan comes right back in with another gear.
100% pulse bomb thrown in. B coming up online. J-Man again just getting picked and assassinated. And there's not a whole lot you can do when the whole team decides to go after you. If they want you dead, Shikigami can't do a lot to stop that from happening. And now there's pressure on the point, but Aurora is just going to have to take the L onto the point there. Stall for as long as they can. Zanhu going to be able to get out, take a reset, but once again, no cigar here for Shikigami.
And J-Man going over to a Torp here now. Cardi-Fan being a little bit too much of an annoyance. They want that turret there, just at least try to slow him down. But you will 3 ultimates here right now if you're Shikigami. So you're not in the worst of spots, but you still have to deal with another minefield. And you know Cardi-Fan is looking to put that where they trap a couple of people in some corners.
Yeah, exactly. J-Man going to walk around this corner now, rocking this Torbjorn. It's definitely going to be a little unique as minefield already activated, and J-Man, I mean, again, Cardi-Fan, I mean, someone must have put out a hit on J-Man as Cardi-Fan is just cashing in time after time. Going to move in, going to pound away, and now Aurora is going to be mega stalled out, but luckily, the mines are still there so they can reset.
And Cardiff already a quarter away to another minefield here, but will they even need to build up to another one? That is the question that we have to ask at the moment. 70% and counting. This is really Final Fight territory right now for Shikigami. You're about to have 4 ultimates online here. Anu, though, has to use that recall there pretty early on, but you're in a good spot right now. You have ultimates if you're Shikigami. You just need to be able to get to the point.
Yeah, and we do have a touch ready and available. Beat going to be activated. Gotta keep everybody alive momentarily as right now Paulie hoping something. Pulse bomb being thrown out. Gotta find Diddly Squad as you have to try to force one more touch coming through here. Continue to rush by. Z-Panther coming through Pedal, hoping to find something with that stick. Doesn't, but J-Man again dies first. And that could be the domino effect. Start falling things for Shikigami. You're still trying to hang around onto the point. Z-Panther super low. Beats there. Bomb being thrown around. Hoping to force everybody into a weird area as the remake does come through momentarily for Aurora, who's just taking an absolute beating as the rest of the team starting to disappear around them. Demeched once again in Dex. It's sorry to say for Shikigami, but they are going to fall once again here. Should be a 3-0 in favor as they're keeping themselves alive. But it feels inevitable, right? Certainly.
I mean, you never know. Minefield number 6 out here from Cardiff, but J-Man, not that far away from Molten Core. They're almost getting the point flip.
They're literally right there. They get the point flip. Oh, that's a bad stick, though. It's perfect. And while I was certainly wrong on my initial call, ladies and gentlemen, Anu hoping to find the Pulse Bomb, unfortunately, does themselves in. And now it is just Aurora who has to find one final touch. And no one else is even close to getting there.
J-Man is close, and I mean, my bad. Ewan is close. J-Man trying to get back. They do have that Molten Core, which could give them enough time to potentially get a point swap back here, but you still need some picks to go your way right now if you are Shikigami, as, again, everyone is completely back.
Hey, it's doable, but J-Man literally barely gets any of it off before getting eliminated on the spot. And now it's once again the pressure game. All credit in the world of Shikigami. They are putting everything and then some to make this happen as much as they can. Gashir forced into a weird scenario, but it's the trading back and forth, and Cardiff is still alive to tell the story, and there's not a retouch for Aurora. And that's going to do it. Emote down mid 3-0. Shikigami giving it their absolute all, but, I mean, a Cardiff Pedal duo going into these backlines and assassinating every time, Shikigami could not do a thing about it, even with the Diva.
Even with the Diva, I mean, let me just lay it out like this. Cardiff died 8 times throughout this entire series.
Yeah.
Aurora in this last map died 8 times. I mean, we talked about Cardiff just being almost inevitable, almost just a pest. They were able to do whatever they wanted, whether it be on the Wrecking Ball or whether it be on the Doom Fist. They were just able to do exactly anything they want. And hey, we highlighted this person coming into the series as well. Pedal, we talked about them in last season's South America Masters tier on Factor X, being essentially a really good spark plug for that team and being a real reason why that team made it all the way to the grand finals. Hunter, they were that here tonight and a little bit more outside of Cardiff here for Emote down mid. I mean, I'm looking at their stats here. They only got better as the series went on. 15 kills, I believe, series 1, or map 1, 19 kills, map 2, and then map 3, their piece of resistance with 32 elims right there. They were, that combo that we saw there from Pedal and Cardiff was absolutely scary. And if you're Emote down mid, this is the win you were really looking for. 0-2 to start the season. You get Cardiff back into the fray now, and you become this team that everyone kind of fears because Wrecking Ball is a problem to deal with. It doesn't matter what level it is. If you have someone who is really good on the Wrecking Ball hero, it's gonna be a big problem for the other team if they really struggle to shut down. And Shikigami tonight, outside of what we saw on Runasapi, struggle to shut down the Wrecking Ball.
Yeah, and I mean, struggled big time. It's an unfortunate scenario, but for some teams, it is their kryptonite, and that was the case for a lot of teams last season going against Emote down mid, because Cardiff was in for a large majority of those maps, and not many teams knew how to shut it down. I mean, the teams that knew how, I mean, there were 2 of them, and they're the 2 that ended up beating them, you know, to get through into those grand finals. As for the teams, everybody else really struggled to go against that because it is something unique that you don't get to go against as often, because everyone plays into our Matra team, everyone plays into a Winston Diva team, but not everyone has to play into a ball team. That's not what you go and practice in the scrims. It's something you kind of have to just be ready for when the time comes.
Yeah, and that was something that Shikigami, they talked to us about before the series. They knew that Emote down mid kind of plays their own way, and this Wrecking Ball or Doomfist kind of playstyle that you get from Cardiff is that Emote down mid kind of playstyle that they were talking about. One that they thought, if they thought tonight they would be able to kind of slow down. And outside of Runasapi, I mean, they had their moments, but it just wasn't enough. And remember, this was a close map through and through. This final one, yeah, the final point ended like 100 to, I think, 15.
Yeah.
But remember, the first 2 points were basically 99 to 99. If Shikigami was able to win one more fight, we could potentially be looking at Shikigami extending the series here. But I mean, if you're Shikigami, this was a rough series. And I felt like they kind of had the idea that it could be like that coming into it. But I just don't think they necessarily expected Cardifan and Petal to really be as big of a problem as they were. And hell, that's not even talking about the rest of the Emote down mid team, because they played excellently throughout the series here.
No, they really did. It's an unfortunate situation for them, but they have the ability to bounce back once again. It's a very long season. They had to do it last time. It's looking like potentially it might end up being the same case for them, but we'll see what the case ends up being for these squads. Obviously, I'm excited to see what the case is going to be. Looking back really quick on their next opponent, I know for a fact that down mid has that match against Boop Troop going on, which Boop Troop, honestly, I mean, out the gate is doing well for themselves, quite honestly. I'm excited to be able to watch them. As for our compatriots over here at Shikigami, I'm going to double check where they're going. Ooh.
And Hivemind.
Hivemind is because Hivemind is taking people to map 5 consistently. Like, they are putting up big fights and winning some good ones too. Like, it's crazy.
Well, Hivemind took this Emote down mid squad in their first game to a map 5. Was able to win out there. But after Hivemind, they have Alternate and then Boop Troop as well here for the Shikigami squad. So a couple tough games to come out here in their next couple ones, but I think it's definitely winnable for them. I mean, they did show us tonight that even if you kind of look back at the stats, like, they were able to really do a good job, even though, like I said, you look back at the stats, you could kind of tell that Emote down mid won all these maps. But it wasn't as easy as the stats really show.
No, it definitely wasn't, but either way, they'll have that chance to be able to bounce back, and for Emote down mid, it is some momentum going their way, especially with Cardifan back in this lineup. I believe the first game with them back in the lineup as well, with this being their only game of the week. So, I mean, with 3 more for them coming next week, time will only tell how much it actually ends up being a contributing factor, but right now, Petal and Cardifan being on this team, without a doubt, is a massive boon for them. But in terms of
this was Cardifan's first. This was Cardifan's first series back with them.
Yep, and it feels like they haven't missed a step whatsoever. But either way, thank you all for joining us once again for another week of Faceit League action. We don't know quite yet what we're going to be doing for next week in terms of games, but we for sure will be here on that Wednesday and Friday night for North America and hopefully South America as well. But for myself, from Dextron, we appreciate y'all being here. We hope to see you next week for some more Faceit League action. Have yourselves a great weekend.